That's a big part of my story because I remember when I turned 40 and, starting to panic. And, I'd been dating for a while. The problem wasn't making connections. It was, making good connections and maintaining those connections. And, thinking, okay, I finally connected with the one only to be disappointed.
Welcome, Michelle, Dr. Michelle. I'm going to say Dr. Michelle because you earned that. And thank you for joining us on XOXO 40, the dating platform that helps singles over 40 with dating help. Please tell us about yourself and how you got into the realm of dating and I guess psychology to a point.
First, let me say thank you for this opportunity. I'm really excited to be here. It is truly an honor. And, as far as my background, what led to, where I am now, gosh, where do I start? Well, I have a PhD in counseling psychology and a dual certification in health and life coaching. And before and I should say before I started exclusively focusing on providing the coaching services, I was providing therapy. I practiced as a therapist and then as a psychologist, supporting many people in a variety of ways, in a variety of settings. I provided individual therapy, group therapy, couples therapy, family therapy. I worked in outpatient psychiatry. I've been in hospitals, community agencies. So I have a range of experiences, working with people, you know, um, within mental health. And, even though I would provide coaching here and there, my focus was on therapy. And after doing that for a number of years, I realized that, I wanted to pivot. And I realized that coaching was something that I've always been interested in. Like I would get excited about it. So then I started kind of exploring the coaching realm a little bit and decided that, I was going to make that official pivot to coaching. And that's actually when I got the dual certification in health and life coaching and decided that I would start my business, the Launching Point LLC, and support women. I mean, I
Absolutely.
work
Yeah.
with men too, but my passion supporting women, especially women over the age of 40, because, that's
We
a
need
big part of,
help. We need help. We need
y-
help.
yes, absolutely.
And,
And,
and we're
that's a big
very
part of
glad
my,
you're here.
thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it's a big part of my story because I remember when I turned 40 and, starting to panic. And, I'd been dating for a while. The problem wasn't making connections. It was, making good connections and maintaining those connections. And, thinking, okay, I finally connected with the one only to be disappointed. And so, after a lot of trial and error, and then realizing, okay, it's just time to take a step back and, work on myself some more, work on my mindset, take a different
Mhm,
approach.
mhm.
That's when, I was able to, explore connections in a new way. And before I knew it, I connected with my husband.
That's an amazing story. And a
Thank you.
lot of women are going through that right now. So what were your go-tos? When you say you had to find a way of connecting, what was it that you decided, okay, I'm going to change this, I'm going to change this and change this. What was your formula for getting your husband?
Mm. Remembering, given my background, in mental health, I always valued therapy. And so had worked on myself quite a bit over the years.
That's so
But as it
important.
Absolutely, because I do believe personal growth is a lifelong process. And,
100%.
sometimes, just because you have the background and you have the knowledge doesn't mean you always follow it. And so
Hmm.
I was kind of getting lost in everything and kind of forgetting like my why for dating. I knew I wanted to get married, but I was getting so caught up in everything that, I forgot, wait a minute, it's important to have clarity along the way. And when I think about
100%.
yeah, when I think about moments or, you know, different times in my life where I had the most clarity, it was when I was working on my mindset. And, I re-engaged in therapy, also engaged in my own coaching, and I had to be real with myself about what I was experiencing and gain clarity about what I truly wanted.
And that's so interesting. When we get back to ourselves, when we start meditating, when we start um, being more introspective, we start understanding ourselves more. We start valuing ourselves more. And when we start valuing ourselves more, it gives us clarity, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Hmm.
Clarity is key. Yeah, there's no way around it.
I wanted to ask you, what's one common myth about dating over 40 that you want to debunk?
Mhm. That that you're running out of time.
Mm,
You know, um,
yeah.
I thought it. I hear this a lot from other women. Like, I'm running out of time. I'm 40. And
So
then,
just to be clear, that was something that we're going to debunk. You
yeah,
are not running out of time. You are not running out of time.
that's
Okay.
right. That's right. Yeah, you have, more than enough time, quite frankly, because when I started working on my mindset, I realized, you know what? Actually, I'm at a great place for dating. And then as I mentioned, while continuing to work on myself, kind of reconnecting with myself, I realized that, oh, wait, I have more knowledge, especially more wisdom. You know, I know myself better than I gave myself credit for knowing.
Yes. And then when we start understanding that, we start understanding what type of men that will be a
Mhm.
good fit for us.
Yes.
And we're not waiting for them to choose us and then think, okay, let me mold into what he wants.
Mm.
Let's talk more about that.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes.
This is a burning, this is burning. I see it. I see it.
Yes, because, you know, I hear so much about wanting to be chosen. And yes, we want to be chosen, but don't forget, you you get to choose too. You want it to go
Mm.
both ways.
You need to be involved in the process. Yeah.
Absolutely. And when you understand that, then you stop performing, it decreases the anxiety. You realize that, there are opportunities, and hopefully you're more open to opportunities. And this was part of my process too. Yeah. And yeah, when you know yourself better, yeah, you choose better too, because when I think about my experiences that weren't so good, it was because I lacked clarity. There was a lot of uncertainty, and
Yeah.
I was more focused on being chosen.
Hmm. And I'm just thinking right now, as you're saying that, we are focused on being chosen because this is what Disney has shown us, isn't it?
Mm,
The
you're
Sleeping
right about
Beauty,
it.
the Cinderella, the Beauty and the Beast,
You're right. You're right.
like everything goes back to Disney. Like when I'm
Isn't that
thinking about things,
something?
everything goes right back to Disney. And this is
Mm,
allegedly. This is allegedly. Okay. This is no one come after me. So now because we watch these shows, we feel like, okay, we have to wait for someone to approach us and then we mold into what they want. And
mm,
then once we mold into they want, we find ourselves unhappy.
yep.
Or there's another route where a man will pretend who he thinks he should be for you because we've given out too much information on our dates, right? Uh-oh, here's another one. Talk to me. Talk to me. Talk to me, doctor.
It was something, it was that part about too much information. And you might be thinking in a slightly different direction, but what comes up for me when I hear that is, you know, sharing so much information that sometimes we're not sharing the most important information around what we want and what we need in relationships. Again,
Yeah.
the overall why for dating, because you want the other person to be very clear about, why you're showing up, so that if they're not here for it, they can make a different decision. Otherwise, you continue
And
to
there
invest more time.
exactly. And there's so many women who hold back on what they really need from the person because they're afraid of losing them. And then
Right.
you're back into square one. What's the point?
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
Mhm.
Because the
Any
person who
tips? Go
Mhm.
ahead. Go ahead and please continue that thought.
I was going to say, because the person who wants you is going to stick around. If they decide they don't want to stick around, that is good information. It certainly isn't. It's not rejection. It's redirection for you. You know.
Absolutely. Let them go. Don't let them stop you from finding your husband.
That,
Like when people get ghosted, they're sometimes they're like,
yeah,
and they're calling their girlfriends, what did I do wrong? I'm getting depressed. I'm this and that. Meanwhile, they don't understand that was a present. That was a huge present with a big bow on it. If
there
they're
you
going to
go.
jump on you now, it's better for them to do that now than when you're in a committed relationship, when you've invested so much into the relationship. Let them go and have a party next.
I know that's right.
Next.
Yes. Yes. It's a gift. Absolutely. Yeah.
Mhm. They got to realize that.
Yeah.
So you must talk to a lot of people that came out of relationships.
Hmm.
And how many of them do you think are ready to start dating again? And what are the fears that they have, if
Mm.
not?
I think more often than not, people are not ready because, I'm always going to relate it back to clarity. Because when a relationship ends, it is important to, understand, you know, what that relationship revealed, not only about, who you are, but, how kind of how you show up in relationships, how you interact with the other person, how you make decisions along the way. And that also helps to bring closure as well. So when I talk to women about relationships that have ended and they haven't really reflected on the experience, and they make the decision to move on to the next person so quickly, there's
Um,
often that repeated pattern again,
mhm,
because
mhm.
they have not given themselves an opportunity to think more deeply about how they want to do things or show up differently in the next relationship, not noticing what may have been overlooked or
So why do you think that is? Why do we do that? Why do we not reflect on what was bad? Does it hurt too much? Because it's almost like grief when you're in a relationship and then now you're out of a 10-year relationship, this person that you've known intimately is now a stranger. That's
yeah.
grief.
Mm.
And I don't know if people are processing as such, but they need to understand that you're grieving like the death of your relationship, the death of the relationship that you at least that you fantasized. Back to
Mhm.
Disney again, the happily ever after ending. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great point. You're absolutely, yeah, I agree with that. And I don't, and yeah, I've noticed that, not everyone thinks of it as a true loss, and that's a big
Mm.
part of it. And this is also related to not understanding the loss, but you know, may for some they may not have ever, learned, how to process changes in relationships, especially when they come to an end. Because
That's so true
you
because we're
also
not taught that in school. Sorry, there's a little delay.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah,
Right, right. Yeah, we're not taught that in school. Yes.
which is another huge thought because I get so frustrated that teachers are not like the actually it's not about the teachers, it's about the district that is not infusing this into the curriculum about teaching about not only relationships, but how you manage yourself in relationships, how you don't get lost in your relationship, um, how you are number one, you're first, and someone does not come into your life to complete you. Again,
That's-
movies, right? Jerry Maguire. Go, you're burning.
No, I mean, and I know you and I align quite a bit on, these topics. So that just makes me laugh in a warm, fuzzy way. But yeah, you're absolutely correct. Right. Waiting for someone to complete you as opposed to, wanting someone to compliment you, based on what you already know about yourself, based on your worth,
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
because you know yourself the best.
that's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
we should not be settling for less, and we should understand ourselves before we get out into the dating world. But it's hard. It's hard because you don't know what you don't know. You don't know
Sure.
if you're still not over them. You'll say you're over them, but you don't know if you're not over them yet. And then you jump back into dating back to back, and then realize you not realizing you're wounding yourself a little bit more, and chipping away at yourself until you hit rock bottom. Then you go
Yeah.
see Dr. Michelle.
Yes. Oh gosh. Yeah.
And where are you at right now? I know you're Chicago. Do you do video chats with your clients? How does that work for you?
Oh, I see most of the clients I see virtually.
Okay,
There
so it
are
could be around the world.
yes, yes, it could.
Okay, good to know. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And if there are clients who are, local, I mean, there are opportunities to meet in person, but most people like to do it virtually. I mean, my Chicago clients, they've all chosen virtual sessions. So
It's
yeah,
comfortable at home. It's
I
comfy.
I agree.
And
Yes.
are you probably likely to tell the therapist more than what you would if you're in the office because it's comfortable at home? What do you
Ah,
think?
yeah, there's being in your own environment does provide a lot of comfort. And obviously when you're comfortable, you know, you're you're able to think more freely. You're not so distracted by the environment that is new. So yeah, it does kind of create that atmosphere for you, if you will. Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. Yeah. And then
Okay.
you don't have to rush and deal with traffic and all the other factors. So yes,
Wow.
I think,
For
yeah,
sure. Yeah. So
yeah,
you don't have so much anxiety.
there you go.
Mhm.
Yeah, it does help with
So,
that.
okay, let's talk about dating and 40. Say, okay, we're ready to date now, and you haven't dated in, say, 30 years, you haven't dated in 15 years, or you're just coming off a relationship. Like, what is the best advice that people should go in with when they're ready to start dating? Now we're talking about when they're ready.
So when you're ready, start start with understanding, you know, again, your why for dating. You ready? How do you know you're ready? What are you
That's a good question. How do you know you're ready? Okay, let's talk about that.
Yeah, how do you know when you're ready? And interestingly, it's always interesting to hear where people go with that question because sometimes they realize, oh, well, maybe I need a little bit more time. Or, maybe I am still thinking with the same mindset that I had 15 years ago when I dated. And then that also
Mm,
invites that thought about how hard dating is now as compared to how it was then. But you know what? I have to tell you, my response to that is instead of thinking it's harder now, think more about how your mindset is different. You're not the same
Mm,
person you were 15
mhm.
years ago, and that
Which
makes
is
a
a good
huge
thing. Yes.
exactly, exactly. So let's think about, let's focus on who you are now, what you want in a relationship, and what you are hoping to experience with someone, how you will show up in that relationship, especially in the early stages in terms of
Yes.
communicating that as well.
Okay, in the early stages, what are the really main important points, the main important questions that we should be asking our potential partner
Mm.
without hesitation? Like, what is it? What are they?
Okay, yeah. One really important question, what do you want? What do you want in a relationship? What do you want to experience?
Mm.
Yeah. When you think about your past relationships, what have they taught you? How do you show up in relationships? How do you need other people to show up for you in relationships?
Keep going, doctor. Loving this. That was three. Oh, those were stingers. Those were stingers.
Yeah.
I
And
like that. So
and
someone
those,
really needs to know themselves to ask those questions. They have to be brave enough. They need to have the confidence, and they need to have the confidence to walk away if they don't answer the question that will help them or someone that's going to be a good match for them. They'd have to answer the question. They have to think about it.
yeah, that's true. And I love how you mentioned confidence because that's something I mention on a regular basis. I help women to get the clarity and the confidence so that they can make the connection. Because people kind of think of confidence in a very generic way. Because, when I think about, and I mean this literally, when I think about the majority of the women I've worked with, they have it going on. They've achieved a lot in their life. But in the realm of dating and relationships, that's where the struggle is. So they're like, but I'm confident in my career, I'm confident in all the other endeavors, but this realm, not so much. So we focus on that. What is it about this realm that makes it, so tricky? Well, you also have to be more in many ways, you have to be more vulnerable. And going back to your point, yes, you have to
Mm.
know yourself and be comfortable, be brave enough to allow yourself to be vulnerable while getting to know people, especially in the early stages.
Yeah. And you know what? I'm going to bring that back to media again because when we're watching
Mm,
movies, the woman
mhm,
is rarely the breadwinner, and if they are the breadwinner, their partner is always dissatisfied, jealous, all that. So we're
mm,
taught to either dumb ourselves down, hang back, or just wait for him to move on. Yeah, make or just accommodate him.
right, right. And if you do anything that kind of goes against, that belief or any traditional beliefs, then you're too much. You're doing too
Yeah,
much. Yeah,
you're doing too much. Yep.
that comes up a lot. I hear that a lot. Well, I'm often told that I'm just too much.
And what
All
do you
right, let's
say to
unpack
that?
that. It, let's
Yes,
un let's unpack
let's
that.
unpack that.
Yeah. And I remind them too, when you hear that, ask them, what does that mean? Don't
Mm.
even assume what they mean. Even if that statement comes immediately after a conversation or some kind of interaction, let them address what that means.
Because that's
Because
weakness.
yeah, hmm,
That is weakness.
say
We
it.
need to strengthen our we need to strengthen these women so that they don't feel like they need to be small to fit into the
Yes,
relationship. Too much that
exactly.
happened too many times. And now that women are starting to making more money than men, now that we're starting to
Mm,
get the confidence and the boldness to the and the audacity to be ourselves.
right, right. The
Men are struggling
audacity.
now. Men are
Hmm.
struggling now. Hence the male, what is single epidemic?
Oh, ooh,
But is it a male single epidemic? I hate saying that word. Because all they have to do is teach themselves. Teach themselves. Because it doesn't
mm,
seem like they're trying to teach themselves. They're just hanging on those words and staying the same.
mm, mm.
And if this was really crucial, wouldn't the government be putting in programs for, for these men so that they can start understanding what they need to do now? That women don't need them. We want them if they're going to be on our side. Can you speak a little on that?
Well, you said so much. Where?
I don't even remember what I said. Rewind. Just kidding. The confidence of women, the audacity of women, um, and men having to, they're almost treading backwards because they are being left behind because they're not spiritually growing.
Mm,
And spiritually, I mean spiritually, mentally, all of that.
yeah, yeah.
So if a man's watching right now, what would you tell him?
There's so much I could tell them. I'm always curious about because I do encounter a lot of men on on a platform where I do lives. And when they
Mhm.
enter, they always so many of them have like reactions to what they're hearing. And
Negative?
sometimes negative, sometimes positive.
Okay.
Yeah. So one thing that comes to mind based on what I typically hear is, you know, you're in a good place, to learn something new about yourself and relationships, because it goes back to your point. You don't know what you don't know. And if you've always had a particular mindset, especially a traditional mindset, or one that doesn't invite new experiences, healthy experiences, then, you're probably going to misunderstand the, the woman that you're getting to know. And so I always encourage them to have an open mind and to listen. Some of them get it, some of them don't.
Some of
But
them
I would
don't
always,
want to get it.
right, don't want to get it. Yeah. So always encourage, just allow your mind to be open to a new experience. Because the sad reality is there are a lot of men that are having conversations with other men who are either closed-minded
Mm.
or really just don't have, the knowledge and wisdom to make healthier or different connections.
They're coming from a place of maybe disdain, um,
Mm-hmm.
and are ill informing those kids that
Oh,
need the right information, right?
yeah.
Which is like, and that's why we need to be taught. We need to be taught this in school so that when you
Mm,
do hear bad information, you understand where the discernment is, how to divide it, and how to where are you placing that person who told you that information as well, right?
yeah. Yeah.
So, what's the experience you had with your clients that have come back into the dating world after being married for 20, 30 years? Because it does happen. And even if a spouse passes away, now they're back into the dating world, the new modernized dating world. What is it? What advice can you give them when they're ready to move on regarding maybe dating apps?
Well, one thing I strongly encourage, of course, I start, with, knowing what you want before you enter into the dating scene,
Always.
and 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 give yourself permission to pace yourself too, because sometimes there's this underlying urgency to just jump out there and make it happen quickly, and then of course
Yes.
with the chemistry you get all caught up, but no, especially when there has been a break in that experience, especially when you know someone doesn't really know really what to do or where to start. pacing yourself along the way is important. Being comfortable with taking the time to get to know someone, letting them get to know you, and being very curious about what you're experiencing along the way. Is there consistency? And yes, I hear a lot that concern about, well, gosh, you date online or even dating in general, people are going to lie, they send the representative. How do you know? You might end up wasting a lot of time. You know what? Don't underestimate the listening skills that you have. That's why I always say, get so caught up in all the noise. When people talk
Hmm.
about, oh, dating is so much harder, uh, I usually don't jump on that bandwagon. I say, no, don't think about it as being so much harder. It's just noisier, and you can get caught up in all of that. So
Hmm.
just slow down. There's no rush because you, again, what I say earlier, you have time. You have time. You're gonna waste more time feeling anxious and getting, really caught up in all the
Get in
noise.
your head. Yeah.
Yeah, getting in your head. So, uh, and be mindful of what you're consuming too, because that's one thing that happens a lot. There's a lot of confusion because even when people say that they don't really know how to date and they're a little confused, I mean they've been hearing some information, and they're often saying, I'm really overwhelmed by all the information.
Yeah.
So I say, forget about the rules, just manage what you know. You know yourself. Hopefully at this point you know what you want, and be prepared to talk about that. And again, pacing. Make sure you're experiencing consistency along the way, and know when something feels off. You don't have to always
Yes.
know how to
Trust that
name
gut.
it. That's right. Yeah. But yeah, trust that even if you don't have the words for it, your nervous system will let you know. Yeah.
Hmm. So, Dr. Michelle, I have one final question for you. What do you know at this stage of life that you would have changed everything if you had known at 30?
Ooh. I have to tell you, it goes back to what we talked about, because that's a big one for me, that I have the right to choose as well. Because I had that was my mindset that, oh, I just want to be chosen. I just want to be chosen. I wasn't really thinking about what I wanted, as long as, oh, they made me feel good and they were nice. Wasn't really thinking, is that someone I would really choose? Because in hindsight,
Hmm.
I was like, wait a minute, that person wasn't right for me, but not really thinking it's because that's not the person I would have chosen. If I'd had that mindset at the start, then I would have made different decisions along the way. And
Yeah,
that's a big one. That's what
that's a
that would
big
be the
one.
difference. Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you for that answer. That's amazing. And hopefully there are people that can relate to what they've heard today and comment. Thank you so much for being our guest on XOXO40, and we hope to have you on again.
Aw, thank you. I have truly enjoyed this. It's been an honor. Thank you.
If this resonated with you, please subscribe to our channel, like, and comment. Also, join us on our TikTok channel at XOXO40Love, IG, and Facebook. Please visit us at our website as well, where we can give you all your dating help that you need. You don't need to do this alone. XOXO40.